Well, I'll tell you, Gus and Gregory were tripping the last episode. Dawn, I wonder why her bed is stripped. Hey guys, welcome back with Mark Jackson, and I apologize. I lost my voice audio, so I'm riding shotgun with you tonight. Which means I'm probably going to be breaking the fourth wall like hell. Again, in the previous episode, we realized that we were pregnant. And forgive the clunkiness here. There's going to be some, like right there I was explaining something and don't really recall what it was. I was so pissed that I lost the audio. This is a game that you really can't voice over, but I'm going to give it a shot anyhow. Anyway, we're back up to Dawn's little loft. And I think this is going to be the way that we need to go to progress, climbing this up. Again, forgive me if there's some odd cuts to this video. Forgive me if it's awkward. This is a really tough game to voice over. So pissed.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Of course, India. We're helping hands. I didn't catch the whole thing, but yeah.
Lewis was born a year later.
This is the way we need to progress, and I was really excited about actually getting outside here to do the... because of all the rickety structures. I mean, just the silhouette of the house is something else.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
What we had here was some... Everybody had their own little garden, and... Yeah. And what I noticed was the cups.
And to see kids in the house again.
That there's silhouettes of the house. Different houses, castles on the cups. Which I found interesting, and it really led into what we're going to do next. Yeah, again, guys, I apologize for this video.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
You know what would be brilliant is to have just reloaded the save and played it over again. But the save system in this game...
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
The save system in this game is absolutely awful. You have absolutely no choice whatsoever. You can't even get... You gotta go into the files in order to get rid of saves. But I do remember the homeschooling.
But it didn't last.
And if you notice, Dawn Finch was a writer too. And then this right here. I paused on this one right here to just remind the liberals, you need to do this. Do this. The far left has apparently forgotten that. I know the mainstream media has. But nice little schoolroom.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Two ways to go. And what I really want to do is focus on Milton, but you always go the wrong way first. And that's what I was talking about, the rickety silhouette part of the house. Really, the staple of this game is what the house looks like. And there's no date.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Interesting. It's... yeah, there's no date. No death date. It says 1992 to nothing. Yeah, it doesn't get old. And is that a boat up there? I mean, really? Is that a boat built into part of the house? Inquiring minds want to know. Fine. Yeah, we can get in that way. Orbit the area. Make sure there's no ammo or health packs, right? Yeah, this game. So yeah, I just figured I'd kick back and screw off with the commentary. Enjoy it with you. I don't understand, like, the sleeves she wears on her hands. Now we get in here with Milton. Excuse me, sorry. I couldn't decide if I wanted to sneeze or burp. And the music. This is a brilliant fellow, and yeah, I really wanted to be quiet right there so you guys could listen to that music. I gotta be honest with you, it moved me, and I'm gonna be looking for the soundtrack of this game. I want this track. I don't know why, but I don't know why it hooks me, but it does.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
And it's a flip book. I spent half the day... Put a sneeze in there. I spent half the day pondering what the story of this flip book actually meant. And it's like, obviously he's painting a door. And then... well, you'll see. And he just goes away. So is he dead? Or not? I just don't know. But that's Milton's story. And another thing that I noticed is...
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
So Milton has a date in here. 1992 to 2003, but there's no date on his door. And another thing that I noticed is that from the very beginning of this game, we've been sketching in the characters.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Yeah, sketching the characters into our diary. But we've been in there the entire time.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
What did Milton find in that? I actually missed that in my first playthrough. And there we go again. See, look, there's no end date. Milton kind of painted himself out of the world. There's no evidence to suggest that he's dead. And there I go, explaining this in the piss poor audio before, and also that Edith, from the very beginning, had her portrait already sketched on the tree, which is strange. You know, all these other ones died and we had to fill in, but we were there the whole time. So what's the deal with that? I wonder if that amounts to something.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
And that's the reason why we have all the salmon. That was episode 1. Whoa.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except
Legalized
Lewis.
marijuana. That's what it says on the poster. And there's a bong. Yeah. I love the differences in how vastly different, but massively creative every character is in this story. We're not going that way. I love it. That's been one of the great things of this game, is how the environments tell all the stories. Why 2 chairs? Ah, well. Head inside. And it is, you know, obviously it is a boat. A boat built into the house. I mean, just how bizarre can you get? But that goes back to what I was talking about before.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar.
Mary Jane much?
That part of him lived on.
So the smell of his weed. Oh, I didn't notice that before. There were 2 bowls as well as the bong. I didn't notice the bowls. Something, too, going back and looking again. This kid's my style. Yep. It's a Wonderland Turbo cross between a TurboGrafx 16 and a PlayStation and a Super Nintendo.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Yeah, he was probably pretty high. That'd be my guess. Unmarked cassettes? Porn? No. Well, mama porn? No, I didn't say that. Yeah, just how the environments are so different. Now, this didn't make any sense to me. Why wouldn't you... Dual monitors, fine, but why wouldn't you have one monitor centered and one off to the side? Well, I suppose he was high to being cross-eyed, and maybe that setup might work, but no. And I love how they try to do the little gaming keyboard. Another bowl, energy drinks. I don't even want to know what the pills are. Bootlegs. Yeah, Lewis is my style, for sure. All right, let's get it on. Story time, boys and girls.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
Didn't look sober to me, and yes, we're controlling this whole fish thing.
He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself.
Carpal tunnel mush.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
And we're controlling this. We're controlling the character, the top-down view.
I asked him to describe it.
And the fish.
He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved.
And I didn't notice before, but...
Bats.
Bats? Oh,
and toads.
I didn't notice before, guys, but you notice how the imagination portion is getting bigger. Physically getting bigger on the screen. So, like... Oh, man. I don't want to cut my hand off.
And things that have not names.
Like a dragon, huh? So Lewis's attention is transitioning from...
He knew it was all in his head.
Chopping off fish's heads to salmon heads to... Yeah, his attention is wandering to his... what would you call it? A daydream? Imagination? Fantasy? Because, yeah, the fantasy portion is getting bigger. I love how they tell that. I mean, just...
But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
If all I did was chop off fish heads all day long, my attention would wander as well.
But he found something more.
The Master Sword from Zelda? Just guessing.
I worried about him then.
Yeah, it's
Daydreaming at the cannery.
creeping, but it's getting larger. And it's so... It was so crazy, controlling the fish and...
I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee.
Oh, he's...
Methodical, tireless, focused.
Of course, he's a robot.
Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising.
This
at first.
shrink, Dr. Noah, sounds crazier than we are.
He told me he'd made a new friend.
Fantasy friend? The dog there? Or I wonder if that's one of the animals that's buried out in the pet cemetery that we encountered.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis
Lewistopia. Oop.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick.
Wow,
Then he made musicians.
the loose references to video games I didn't notice before either. I mean, obviously video games, but not particular games, game genres.
And songs for them to play.
There's been several of them already. I encourage you to.
He talked about starting a band.
I encourage you guys in the comments to point them out.
And he was always humming something.
I'm always humming.
Every day his imagination grew
I'm always
stronger.
humming Ice Ice Baby. You know, it's my favorite song. No, it's not. Just kidding.
He no longer spoke at the cannery.
And now the imagination section is really getting large. I'm still concerned we're going to get our hand cut off.
But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him
What struck him?
that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination,
Well, no shit.
so he could do whatever he wished.
Yeah, that's what. It's kind of a good thing. You notice a whale there?
He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Definite Mario reference, of course. But yeah, there's been so many.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering.
There's been so many
It became a game.
subtle
for him.
references to video games. Mostly not particular games, but Lewistopia again. And yes,
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
we're controlling the boat.
New Lewis.
New Louisville.
St. Louis.
You hear that chime? Yeah, there's so many references to games.
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery.
You just forget to go home?
Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
I wonder what was wrong with him. Was he just loaded on drugs? I mean, we saw all that in his bedroom. You know, we saw pill bottles.
In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
Lewisburg.
beautiful prince.
And more, the islands, if you look at them, the tiers are all words. So, you know, more literature. This game's been loaded with books.
The prince was on his own quest for
Radiant rainbows. Boink.
radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of his silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west
I was
of the
actually
moon.
trying to miss the notes there on purpose, guys, so you could hear the background music.
Even then, his logic remained sound.
Another really great track.
He knew the world was all in his imagination. but he was so proud of having created it.
Well, that startled me again.
In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
Look at this world.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace.
The twists and turns of this game and the environments.
My imagination is as real as my body, he told me.
The twists and turns.
It was hard to argue with him.
I mean, I could complain about the save system. Oh, wait. All right, yeah. So we're back at the cannery, and we're still Lewis because we're not preggers. Just bizarre, man. That's got to be our locker coming up right there, you know, marijuana in the game, yeah. Drugs and games. And another bowl. That's 3. And Chinese food.
He began to forget the world we know.
One thing I find funny is that every time I try to say something in this game, every time I try to comment, the narration picks up and I gotta shut my mouth. It's alright though, I don't mind being interrupted.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
So that's us, Lewis, coming up. So our fantasy self in our imagination is upset with our real self.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Wow, yeah, he's really in fantasy land because obviously he's doing nothing. He's just totally tuned out. Completely and utterly tuned out.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Huh.
The palace would be packed with his companions.
Damn. No faces. None of them have faces. And we're on a...
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising...
Wise Calico? Calico Cat? Ah, this is crazy. Oh, the cat! Molly. Molly the cat, the wise Calico? Which makes me wonder if Molly poisoned herself.
His prince waited, holding his crown.
If Molly poisoned herself to death, and they had all this food, you know, and... Yeah.
There was only one thing left to do.
He works at the cannery and gets tons of salmon, so why was Molly hungry, to poison herself in the first place? And that's a crown, but that's also a guillotine.
Bend down his head.
No. Mama, I don't want to. No, Mommy. Ah, hell, let's get it over with.
And the rest I think you know.
I think we do.
Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Yeah, Emily Nuff. Yeah, I had that name wrong.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Pretty cool to chop your head off. So basically, he went the way of the fishes and chopped his head off in the automated guillotine. I don't know what to make of that. But hey, guys, I've been Mark Jackson. Sip.